As he spat bubbles of blood, he said that one word and died. But the shock of seeing someone die right in front of me did not freeze my heart. At a fundamental level, all living things aren't concerned with the death of others. The one thing that matters is whether they themselves die or not. Oh yeah. It was the barrel of the gun the Italian soldiers was pointing that froze my heart. Tajima's back burst once more as he leaned against me. Flesh tore, blood spattered. The warm splash of it covered my face. Was the Italian still trying to finish him off, even though he had stopped moving for good? How foolish I've been. Can I still not understand the scene in front of me? Rejoice, Kenzo! Now you'll finally get what you've wanted all this time! The Italian hadn't fired to finish off Tajima. He had been aiming at the man Tajima had fallen on me, Kenzo. I pushed his corpse aside and scrambled against the floor and dashed away, tumbling over myself. My hands had pushed off against the floor hard enough to tear off the fingernail on my left hand. Holy shit! When faced with death, humans truly can resist with all they've got. I tumbled over and over as I ran, and scraping up parts of my body. It was painful, hot, but that didn't matter at all. I heard the yelling in Italian come from behind me over and over again. It felt like they were running, chasing after me. I didn't want to look back, so I kept on running as though the Italians were right behind me. This is death. Didn't you want to die? No, I don't want to die. Why? Why didn't I want to die so badly? But now I know. I know how wonderful it is to be alive. She taught me. Biche did. I can only be free when I talk with her. I have no idea if I pronounced that right. I just felt like saying it like that. Beato taught me. I can only be free when I talk with her. No. By talking with her, I was finally alive for the first time. I was born. I want to live. I want to live. I want to live. I want to live. I don't want to die. I want to live and see her right now. If I don't see her, I'll die. I'll be killed. Stay cool, Kenzo. She might be killed too. If you live and she dies, you might as well be dead. Before I knew it, my face was covered in tears, snot, and drool. When I stumbled into something and fell, I was finally able to come to my senses a little. Hopefully she doesn't see you like this. She'll think you look deranged. No, that's understandable, because everyone's dying. I can still hear the intermittent gunfire. The gunfire was still going on, and it had spread throughout the entire base. Biche, are you okay? I'll find her and take her to a safe place. The lieutenant will probably kill all of the Italians to steal the gold. Biche probably wouldn't be an exception. Hey, pronouncing it right. I lived for the first time after meeting you. I was born. So if you die, I'll die again. I could feel every cell in my body being reborn, not an Ushirimiya Kenzo, but as a completely different Kenzo. Of course, I was terrified that I might really be shot if I went back. But I didn't want to die anymore. To truly die. So I was able to overcome my fear. The Japanese are trying to kill us. Ruben stood with Beatrice behind his back and neatly shot the two men rushing at him with two 9mm bullets from his Beretta M1934. However, one of the 8mm bullets from their Type 94 semi-auto pistols went straight into Ruben's chest. Ah, dicks! All three of the shooters were struck in the chest and fell down in a heap. Rubens? Rubens? Good. The next person to appear was the commanding officer of the Japanese soldiers, Yamamoto. The blast of the 3 guns had just sounded. Adding on Beatrice's screams, it was hardly surprising they had noticed the encounter. Yamamoto spat. Beatrice used that moment to snatch up Ruben's gun. Good job. Good. He spat this last part of the 2 dying men who lay moaning at his feet. However, it wasn't particularly surprising. And this wasn't the first time it had happened. In this tiny cramped tunnel, nearly everyone had met head-on. When both sides shot recklessly in the situation, the result was 2 corpses. So whoever sensed another person pulled the trigger quickest won. That was the only way to survive this battle without a bullet in your chest. Because of this, both Japanese and Italians had killed each other without hesitation, and they sometimes even pulled the trigger on oncoming allies. In the midst of all of this were several Japanese men who had stumbled into the fight, wondering what was going on. I was going to say, it's going to be hard for Italians because there's only like 20 or something, like 10? I forget the exact number. But there's not much for them to run into each other. Didn't matter whether the other person was holding a gun or not. Everyone had reflexively pulled the trigger at the sight of anyone other than themselves trying to stay alive. The entire base had been wrapped up in this slaughter. There was a fierce gun battle taking place in the submarine dock, and a massacre resembling a hunt taking place inside the base. Most of the non-combatants assigned to this base were killed before they knew what was going on. The Italians were indeed quite seasoned troops, but their numbers began to drop bit by bit. They can only hold off for so long. Bloodstained corpses were scattered all across the base. At first, it had probably been a proper gunfight. However, as their minds began to grow weary and numb, it devolved into that most basic cause of wars throughout humanity, the desire to kill all foreigners you don't understand. Whenever they heard words they didn't understand, they pulled the trigger. By that point, the screams of foreigners sounded no different from those of man-shaped beasts. After all, they couldn't understand pleading in another language, so it had been long ago turned into a mere massacre. As the numbers of dead surpassed the number of living, silence began to return to the base. Just when it felt as though everyone had died and the desolate sound of the wind blew through the caves, there would be a sudden scream, the crisp sound of a gun, and one would remember that the massacre wasn't even yet over. Christ. I know I suggested it still doesn't make it any better. This happened over and over again, and eventually true silence fell. It marked the pitiful end for those led astray by the gold. The leader of the Italian soldiers, Angelo, had managed to survive somehow. He encountered nothing but the corpses of friend and foe. All was quiet once more in the base. If he was careless enough to call out, he might be shot from the shadows somewhere. So he snuck around about like a panther, breathing quietly and searching for the remaining enemies. There was no sign or trace of any living person. Maybe all of the people in the base had died. The Japanese struck first, but at the time, we were all also talking about killing them. They simply made the first move as military men, so perhaps we should be grateful to them. By the time the boat came to take us away, there would have been no honor for us. We would have been mere failures in our missions, unfit to face our dead comrades. Perhaps dying here in the Far East alongside my gun is a more fitting end for a soldier. I noticed the sound of shuffling feet coming from around the corner and strained them to hear. Is someone seriously wounded and dragging their feet? Noticing them before they noticed me greatly helps my chances. At this stage, there's no point in taking prisoners. We must dispose of all of the Japanese. I'll dash around the corner and quickly check to see who they are, and shoot if it's a Japanese person. Nothing more. I've been hiding my footsteps the whole time. They probably don't know I'm here. Once the shuffling footsteps have come close enough, Angelo leaned around the corner and raised his gun. The voice that reached him spoke Italian. Blood poured from Angelo's chest, his gun fell to the floor and then his knees. Then the rest of his body crumbled and stopped moving. Yamamoto's accuracy with the gun wasn't particularly stellar. However, Angelo had waited until they were fairly close before jumping out, so Yamamoto had made the shot. He had managed to hit even with the short-barreled handgun in one hand and a woman as a hostage in the other. Not Gento's still alive. And he'll probably kill you. It was such an obvious lie that even he wore a bitter smile. The Italians were spies working for the enemy, and they all died along with the garrison in a gunfight. Since this was the story Yamamoto wanted to tell, he couldn't afford to have any Italian survivors. By this point, he wouldn't be able to keep the entire pile of gold, but he should be able to grab as many as he could carry. Even that would be worth a huge amount of money. Beatrice suddenly swung her head and smashed Yamamoto's nose hard. She almost managed to escape, however Yamamoto quickly grabbed her leg and tripped her. She fell onto her back and Yamamoto mercilessly stomped his foot down on her stomach and pointed his gun at her. Wow, you're a dick. Kinto had jumped out from the shadows. He was holding a gun he had stolen from one of the corpses. What the fuck are you talking about? Yamamoto didn't know what the grenade had been a dud. Didn't know that the grenade had been a dud. The surprise attack, which had been certain would work, but had failed. So he had decided that Kendo must have tipped them off. Yamamoto ground his heel into Beatrice's god. Dude, you're a fucking douche. Fuck that. No. Without any hesitation, Yamamoto raised the barrel of his gun towards Kento and pulled the trigger. It grazed Kento's right ear. If Yamamoto's aim had been just a little bit better, the bullet would have slammed into Kento's face. Nah, it's fine. Not letting Yamamoto's momentary distraction go to waste, Beatrice lashed out and planted her right foot in Yamamoto's crotch. After moaning in pain, a demonic expression flashed across Yamamoto's face and he stomped on her chest. Dude, how about you just shoot him? There you go. Beatrice shut her eyes tightly, hoping that she could withstand the coming pain. No one would want to have their eyes open at that moment they'd been shot. Good thing she wasn't shot. I mean, she's obviously going to live. There's no tension in that. You deserved it. A blunt splash poured out of Yamamoto's chest. Could Yamamoto hear Kenzo's words until the end? I don't care. In his last moments, Yamamoto seemed to grin. Then slowly, he fell backwards with a spurt of blood. I have, right in my ear. Beatrice tried to stand up, but then doubled over, started coughing. You probably have a broken rib or something. Calm down, it's okay. Everyone's dead. Yeah, because he's a fucking douche. Good, I wouldn't want it any other way. Yamamoto had shown no mercy. Her ribs were probably cracked. We didn't have the option of waiting possibly for several days for the ship that was coming. I made the decision to carry her away from this island. The man who kept yelling about preserving the secrecy of the base is lying there dead. Yeah, fuck that. The next island over Nijima is close. A small boat should be able to take us there. Not on this island. What? Why not? Oh. She wants to stay with him. What about Gino? How can you forget Gino? The most important Italian guy. She doesn't want to die. She wants to be with you. It's a really nice country.
Beach. 私はこんな船沈んでしまえと願ったわ。だからここにたどり着いた時、実は死に損ねたとがっかりした。その矢先よ、少尉が英語がわかる者はいるかと騒ぎ出したのは。
When Kenzo met Beatrice, he finally forgot about dying. And when Beatrice met Kenzo, she also forgot about dying. What a fucking good old pair, then.
私は祖国も家族も友人たちも失った私をあなたにさらってほしいと願うの。
Oh. So that's where his whole, like, kidnapping thing came into play.
でもそれは叶えられない望みだとも分かってる。ならばせめて迎えの船が来るまでの数日間を胸の痛みなんて気にしない。だって迎えの船に連れ去られたら私はもう死んでしまうのだから。
You're staying here. Beatrice spoke as this, smiling softly. She did her best to hide the pain in her chest.
お願い、金蔵、迎えが来るまでの数日間でいいから私をさらって。
その願いは叶えられない。
Looking apologetic, Kenzo lifted Beato up and gently sat her in the boat.
育児なし。
Thanks.
やっぱり日本の男は軟弱だわ。
Love you too.
そうだな。私は育児なしだ。だから君の願いは片方しか叶えられな
I'll
い。
kidnap you. With a clunk, he placed it wrapped in a jacket in the boat.
片方とは
迎えが来るまでの数日間でいいからの方は叶えられないということ
There you
さ。
go. My man.
どういう意味？
Kenzo knows how to treat the ladies right.
君をさらう。そっちを叶えることにした。
金蔵。
God, that's the best thing you've ever told me. There has to be a doctor on Nijima. I'm wearing a Navy uniform. I should be able to pass off as a survivor of the boat carrying a VIP that was sunk by an enemy ship. If the doctor happens to be of the greedy sort, all the better. After all, I have right here the golden magic to make people do what I say. Oh, that's right, he had proof that he had, like, a bunch of wealth on him, which is how he got, like, his investments and stuff. Which is the gold ingot. Awesome. That's finally getting more clear. The witch from a distant country who took my lifeless body and gave me a soul. The woman who came to me with the gold and revived me with her magic.
君は魔女だな。黄金の魔女だ。
ええ、黄金の魔女よ。
Oh my god.
みんなと同じレシピで作ってるのに、私だけがパスタから消し炭を生み出す錬金術が使えるの。
Damn, you're a good cook.
あなたと同じく私もあなたがいてくれる限り生きることを許される屍。あなたがいなくなったら私はすぐにでも死んでしまう。
She's pretty cute though. No, I'm not
死
gonna
なせな
lie.
い。
本当に？
絶対に。
取ってね、責任。だってあなたは私をさらったんだから。
Maybe.
そうですか。金蔵さんがそこまで話しましたか。
ではまさかあなたなのですか？おじい様がベアトリーチェを連れて行った新島の医者というのは。
驚くに値しねえ。新島の医者って時点でピンとくる。
突然海軍の兵隊さんが外国人の女性を連れて現れたのです。驚きましたとも。 しかもその上軍機なので秘密で治療しろというのです。
それがおじい様との初対面だったのですか？
Yeah, he left quite the impression.
そうです。それが金蔵さんと初めての対面でした。
黄金で言いなりになった欲深な医者ってのもお前のことなのか？
Well, I mean, I'd like to think of other ways, but sure, fine, Dick.
これは手厳しいですな。突然外国人の女性患者を連れ込み、軍機だから秘密にせよと言い、
I mean, I'd treat
治
her.
療代は必ず持ってくるから担保にと言って黄金のインゴットを差し出す相手ですぞ。
Someone hands me that, I'm like, no fucking questions asked. Someone hands me a gold bar and says, take care of him. No fucking questions asked. Yeah, okay. Whatever, buddy. I don't give a fuck.
厄介事はごめんでした。
If it's a fucking gold bar, I don't care. I'll do whatever you want. Suck your dick for it.
確かにそれもそうですね。でも南條先生はベアトリーチェをかくまってくれたんですね。
金蔵さんほどではありませんが、私にも英語の心得がありました。二人の会話を漏れ聞き、二人が決して厄介な何者かでないと確信したからです。もちろんインゴットに目がくらまなかったといえば嘘が過ぎますがな。私も今よりは若かったものですから。
Yes, obviously.
その後
40 years, in fact.
しばらくの療養の後、後ろ宮家の使いの方が来て小田原に移すとおっしゃいましてな。引き取られていきました。
おじい様が自分で迎えに行ったわけではないのですか？
Well, no, that would have been suspicious.
金蔵がどう六軒島の事件を言い訳したにせよ、しばらくの間は自由には動けなかっただろうよ。
ですな。軍をごまかすのが金蔵さんの人生で一番の大勝負だったと言っておりましたな。
Yeah, who would have thought a military is hard to deceive?
ベアトリーチェは小田原に行って、それから
使われていない別荘の一つにかくまったと聞いています。当時の金蔵さんにはもう家族がおられましたからな。そこはうまくやられたのでしょうな。
Yeah, that's a little awkward.
クワドリアン以前から二重生活はお手の物だったというわけだ。
何してるんですか？
What the fuck was
お尻
that?
におできでも？
Stop! What the hell's wrong with you?
それから
It's just weird. Stop.
ベアトリーチェはおじい様
Leave
の
my
子
ass
で
alone.
別荘でいつまでも。
平穏に
Not into
つつ
it.
ましやかに暮らしたと聞きます。
その娘こそクワドリアンのベアトリーチェか。
Yeah.
金蔵さんの前では気丈に振る舞われていたそうです。
Of course
気
not.
の毒なことです。
まさか亡くなったんですか？
驚くな。金蔵はその娘を生まれ変わりと信じたんだぞ。
Yeah, it was to be expected. I did get the hint that she committed suicide, though. So, like, from the actual Beatrice, or witch Beatrice saying that. So, it felt like that in a bit, but yeah, it's not really surprising. I figured she died extremely soon after the birth.
心をないがしろにするんじゃねえ。推理は可能だ。
Yeah.
そうですね。失礼。
Nothing to
私は
apologize for.
金蔵さんが彼女と過ごされた小田原の数年間を知りません。
Probably a lot.
しかしその後の今日までの金蔵さんを見れば、ほんの数年間であっても彼がいかに彼女を深く愛したか。
そうですね。
そしてその娘のためにクワドリアンを作ったというわけか。
Which is even
金
weirder.
蔵さんは潜水艦の黄金を元手に巧みに立ち回り、また持ち前の英語力を生かし GHQ に強いコネクションを作ってみるみるうちに大富豪となられたのです。
Smart man.
この辺は
Respected.
リオンさんに説明する必要はありますまい。
ええ。その莫大な財産で六軒島を買い取り屋敷を建てます。小田原の親族たちは無人島を丸ごと買い取ったおじい様を酔狂だと笑ったそうです。
No, he probably did it because that's where he met Beatrice and all that, actually.
10トンの黄
Nothing
金
about
が
it.
ポケットに収まる大きさだったなら金蔵も島を買わなかったろうよ。
Well, also the gold's there. But I would imagine it has a very sentimental value to him. He hid the gold somewhere in Rokenjima, but built up a fortune with the ingots he had taken out of it, and then bought up the whole treasure island.
ですな。そして後ろ宮家の黄金伝説が始まるのです。
インゴットには片翼のワシが刻印されていた。
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
片翼のワシというよりは片翼に見えてしまうワシというべきでしょうな。
Oh.
それはどういう意味ですか？
ヨーロッパに多いでしょう。翼を広げたワシを紋章にしたものは、
Yeah.
サロ共和国の国旗にもワシが、いやいや鷹でしたかなが刻まれています。
刻印が薄かった、あるいは粗雑だったということか。
Wow.
そうです。
They fucked it up.
戦時下の粗雑な刻印でした。本来は翼を広げたワシの紋章が刻印されるべきだったのでしょう。それがちょうど斜めに断ち切ったように半分薄れて消えていたのです。
翼を広げたワシが半分消えて、それが片翼のワシに見えた。